Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Ayman Nazir and welcome to Knowledge Realm. Students, we are studying pre-partition history of Pakistan and the topic that we're going to cover today is CR formula and Gandhi-Jinnah talks that held in 1944. So stay focused and let's get started. So first, students, we are going to cover CR formula that was presented by Chakravarti Rajagopalacharya to Qadazam Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Gandhi also, and it was a formula that formed the basis of Jannah Gandhi talks. So what was happening in the society at the time and why this formula was presented by Chakravarti Rajagopalacharya? Well, students, we have studied in the previous lecture the Cripps proposal, and after the failure of Cripps proposal, Congress actually started the Quit India movement on July 14, 1942. Congress wanted to oust British from India so that Congress could set Ramraj in India, and Congress started protest in the country. Then British government outlawed Indian National Congress on August 9, 1942 and arrested whole Congress leadership, and Gandhi was also arrested. Then Congress turned to All India Muslim League for reconciliation because Congress thought that this is the last thing that the Congress can resort to. Congress turned to All India Muslim League for reconciliation, and Chakravarti Rajagopalacharya presented a formula of reconciliation before Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah on April 8, 1944, and he said that this formula has the backing of Gandhi, and Rajagopalacharya has got the approval of Gandhi for this formula. He presented this formula in front of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, but Quaid-e-Azam, using his wisdom and intellect, rejected this formula. First, he actually got agreed to present the formula to the working committee of All India Muslim League, but Rajagopalacharya actually gave no hope of any modification, and he said that this is a firm formula, this is the stringent formula that you have to accept, and there is no hope of any modification. Then Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah did not like this posture of Rajagopalacharya, and he used his wisdom and he pointed out many flaws and inconsistencies in the formula, and finally he rejected the formula. Students, the CR formula was actually a formula of reconciliation between All India Muslim League and Indian National Congress. And in this formula, Rajagopalacharya actually presented some points. He presented some ways to resolve the conflict between All India Muslim League and Indian National Congress. So what were these points? Let's study. First of all, Muslim would cooperate with Indian National Congress in getting independence from British government and in ousting British government from India. This was the first demand of Indian National Congress from All India Muslim League. Then a commission shall be set up to demarcate the contiguous Muslim majority districts, and a plebiscite will be held to decide the issue of separation. Now, this is the point that shows that to some extent Indian National Congress had accepted the Lahore Resolution, and to some extent Indian National Congress had accepted the demand of separation and the demand of Pakistan. Then all the political parties will be free to advocate their viewpoint to the public in the area where Muslims were in majority. Then in the event of separation, mutual agreements would be entered into for safeguard defense, commerce, communications, and for other essential purposes. Now, this point says that if the Pakistan and India got separated, then Indian National Congress and All India Muslim League would come into mutual agreements related to defense, commerce, communication, and for other essential purposes, and this thing would happen peacefully. Then the transfer of population shall only be on an absolutely voluntary basis. Now this point says that there would be no forceful action, and people would not be forced to move to India or to move to Pakistan, and the transfer of population shall only be on an absolutely voluntary basis, and people would decide where they want to live, in India or in Pakistan. Then these terms and conditions would come into force only when British government transfer full power and responsibility to the people of India. Now here this formula actually shows that Rajagopalacharya and Mahatma Gandhi, they wanted the ouster of British government from India first. And they were saying that first just eliminate British from India, and then we will decide, and then we will resolve our conflicts. We will sit and we will negotiate. This was the core idea of CR formula. They were saying that okay, these terms and conditions would come into force only when British government transferred full power and responsibility to the people of India. First, British goes out of this of our country, then we would proceed, and then we would decide what we should do with this separation process and the Hindu Muslim conflict. Quaid-e-Azam pointed out many inconsistencies and flaws in the formula, and he rejected the formula. Okay, so the first flaw that he pointed out in the formula was that Quaid-e-Azam said that okay, if Rajagopalacharya is saying that this formula has the backing of Gandhi and Gandhi has also approved this formula, then why had Gandhi not presented this formula? Why Rajagopalacharya was a mediator and why he presented this formula? If Gandhi uh, gave approval of this formula and Gandhi agrees with this formula, then he should have presented this formula himself. Then another flaw that Qadasa Muhammad Ali Jinnah pointed out, he said that okay, you people are saying that All India Muslim League would cooperate with Indian National Congress in this independence movement. So Quaid-e-Azam said that what are you trying to say? You're trying to accuse All India Muslim League of not uh, been in favor of independence. You're trying to say that we are not in favor of independence and we do not want independence of India. And that is an accusation. We all want independence of India, and we first we want the partition of India. Then Qadasa Muhammad Ali Jinnah pointed out many inconsistencies. He said that okay, you are trying to say that we will set a commission, and then the commission would demarcate the boundaries of majority areas of Muslim, and then a plebiscite would be held there. But your points are vague actually. You have not given a procedure of forming this commission. Who would be involved in this commission? Who would be member of this commission, Muslims or Hindus? And you have not made this thing clear that in the plebiscite who would be involved, only the Muslims or the Hindus also? So he actually pointed out many inconsistencies. In short, he rejected the formula. And another flaw that he pointed out, this is very important flaw, he said that this CR formula is nothing but a sordid imitation of Lahore resolution. You have mutilated Lahore resolution, you have changed the shape of Lahore resolution, and you have just imitated this and presented in front of us. Then Qadasa Muhammad Ali Jinnah rejected this formula. But still, students, this formula has its importance because in this formula, for the first time, a Hindu leader talked of an understanding with the Muslims on the issue of partition of India. This formula shows that for the first time, Hindu leaders and Gandhi especially agreed, and he showed some agreement on the demand of separation of Muslims and on the demand of partition of India. And in this formula, a margin was shown, that a margin related to the partition of India. Then in September 1944, Jinnah and Gandhi held negotiations in Bombay on the basis of this formula. This formula actually became the basis of Jinnah-Gandhi talks. So this formula actually has its importance. Let's start studying Jinnah-Gandhi talks of 1944. On July 17, 1944, Gandhi wrote a letter to the Quaid-e-Azam expressing his desire to have a meeting with him on the issue of Hindu-Muslim conflicts in India. Then the series of the meetings started on September 9, 1944 and continued till September 23, 1944. 25 hours were spent in discussions. Both the leaders got engaged in verbal discussions and exchanged letters too. The talks discussed the Hindu-Muslims disputes. This was the main theme of talk. This was the main agenda, resolution of the Hindu-Muslims dispute in India, and the issue of partition of India was also discussed in this talks. Well, the issue of partition of India was actually the main agenda. Then the talk ended in failure, and failure was announced on September 27, 1944. Now students, let's study the differences between Jinnah and Gandhi. What were the differences between these two leaders that led to the failure of these talks? First of all, even before the beginning of these talks, Gandhi actually assured his Hindu fellows that he would not ignore even a single interest of Hindus. Gandhi gave this firm stance, and he gave the kind of a stance that he is not ready to budge even a single inch, and he was not ready to negotiate on the interest of Hindus, and this was the stance that was not liked by Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Then the second thing, Gandhi was actually not representing any political party. He was taking part in negotiations in his personal capacity that Quaid-e-Azam did not like. Quaid-e-Azam was the leader of All India Muslim League at the time, and Quaid-e-Azam represented All India Muslim League. On the other hand, Gandhi was not representing any political party, and this was a thing that made Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah worried. And Quaid-e-Azam thought that Gandhi is not representing any political party, and even if we reach some agreement, would Gandhi be able to convince Indian National Congress, because he was not representing Indian National Congress? Yes, this is true, and I must mention this thing here, that Gandhi was the leader of Hindus at the time, but here Gandhi was not representing any political party in the real sense. He came to Quaid-e-Azam in his own personal capacity, and this thing created a doubt in mind of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and he started thinking that maybe these talks are a wastage of time, just like CR formula, because CR formula also did not have any backing of Indian National Congress, and CR formula was presented in the personal capacity of the Rajagopalacharya and Gandhi. So this is the reason Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah rejected CR formula. Similarly, Quaid-e-Azam was not satisfied, and Quaid-e-Azam was not sure about these Gandhi-Jinnah talks also. Then the third difference, and this is the main difference, the core of the Gandhi-Jinnah talks that led to the failure of these talks. Students, Gandhi was insisting on the ouster of third party, that is British government first. Gandhi was of the view that first we should eliminate British from this country, India, then we would sit and resolve the conflicts of Hindus and Muslims. First we should oust British government, then we would think about the partition of India and the resolution of Hindu-Muslim conflicts, then we would think about all these things. But Quaid-e-Azam, he was not ready to do this, because Quaid-e-Azam feared that if British leaves the country, Hindu would set Hindu Raj in India, and then Muslim would never be able to resolve their problems, their issues, and Muslims would never be able to get independence from Hindus. Quaid-e-Azam insisted the resolution of mutual disputes first, and then ouster of third party. Now this was the main difference between Jinnah and Gandhi, and both the leaders were not ready to sacrifice on this demand. Lord Wavell, who was the Viceroy of India at the time, he wrote to Leo Amery, who was Secretary of State. Lord Wavell says that Jinnah wants Pakistan first and independence afterwards, while Gandhi wants independence first with some kind of self-determination for Muslims to be granted by a provincial government which would be predominantly Hindu. Gandhi's ideal, though he is careful not to express it, is a united India in which Hindus, given a free run, would inevitably dominate the Muslims. Now, this is the statement of the Viceroy of India at the time. He also got this sense and he also understood what Gandhi wanted at that time. Gandhi actually wanted a united India. This was his main goal, and all the Hindu leaders wanted a united India, and they were not ready to separate Hindus and Muslims. Although Gandhi was careful not to express this, but he wanted a united India. Gandhi wanted a united India and Quaid wanted partition of India. This was the main demand of these two leaders, and these two leaders were not ready to abandon this demand and they were not ready to quit on this. Students, Gandhi emphasized on the CR formula, but Quaid kept on pointing out flaws in the formula and he rejected the formula. Gandhi was saying that CR formula is actually a better shape of Lahore resolution, and the Lahore resolution was vague, so CR Rajagopalacharya gave a very good shape to Lahore resolution. And but Quaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah was saying that okay, if you are ready to accept this proposal of partition and you are ready to run plebiscite in the Hindu majority areas, why have you presented a new formula with the name of CR formula? Why didn't you just accept Lahore resolution? You should have accepted Lahore resolution if you are ready to give this proposal of partition a try. If you are ready to run a plebiscite in the Muslim majority district, why haven't you just accepted the Lahore resolution? You have mutilated Lahore resolution and you have presented this new formula, which Quaid was not ready to accept. He rejected this formula. In these talks, Gandhi kept on emphasizing on the CR formula and Quaid kept on rejecting this formula, and both the leaders showed a very firm stance in this manner. Then Gandhi deplored the two-nation theory and he insisted on united India. Gandhi believed that India is a nation, and he said that till today, till 1944, Muslims and Hindus have been living in India peacefully since the formation of this great state India. Muslims and Hindus are living peacefully, so why Muslims are demanding this separation now? What is the reason and what is the pretext of this demand? But Quaid kept on asserting the two-nation theory, which is the bedrock of the Pakistan resolution. Quaid gave this argument and he said, now here I wrote this very interesting quote of Quaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah. This was the main argument of Quaid behind the demand of Pakistan, and he tried to prove that why Muslims need a separate state and why and how Muslims are a separate nation. Quaid said, we are a nation of 100 million. We are a nation with our own distinctive culture and civilization, language and literature, art and architecture, names and nomenclature, sense of values and proportion, aptitude and ambitions. In short, we have our own distinctive outlook on life and of life. By all canons of international law, we are a nation. Quaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah was asserting that Hindus and Muslims are pole aparts. Hindus are polytheist and Muslims are monotheist. Hindus, they worship cow, and Muslims on the other hand, they eat cow, they slaughter cow. Now, there were many differences between Hindus and Muslims, and these differences made the unity of Hindus and Muslims impossible. So Quaid wanted the separation of these two nations because he believed that this is the only viable solution of the Hindu-Muslim conflict in India. Now students, let's discuss the importance of Jinnah-Gandhi talks of 1944. Well, Jinnah-Gandhi talks ended in failure and the failure was announced on September 27, 1944. But still students, these talks were important and it was an important event of history of India. Well, how it was important? First of all, it was a victory of Quaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah. How? For the first time, Gandhi came to Quaid to discuss the issue of partitioning of India. Now this shows that this was a victory for Quaid, and this shows that for the first time, Gandhi and Hindu leaders got agreed on partition to some extent. actually. He emphasized on CR formula, which gave a margin of partition in form of plebiscite. In CR formula, it was proposed that okay, we would hold a plebiscite in the Muslim majority districts of India, and then the people would decide that if they want to be united with India or they want partition of India. So this shows that for the first time Hindu leaders agreed to discuss this matter of partitioning with Muslims of India. Before this, Hindu leaders very blatantly rejected this demand of partitioning of India, and they were not ready to even talk about this. But in 1944, Gandhi was ready to talk about this. These talks showed the firmness of both the leaders in their goals. Now, this is again a very important point. We studied the Gandhi-Jinnah talks in detail, and it shows that both the leaders were firm in their goals, and both the leaders were not ready to budge even a single inch, and they were not ready to quit on their demands, and they were not ready to abandon their demands. Qadhi Muhammad Ali Jinnah was saying that we should resolve the issues of Hindus and Muslims first. And the solution of these issues and these conflicts is Pakistan. The solution is the partitioning of India. On the other hand, Gandhi was saying that first we should oust British from India, and then we would resolve the Hindu-Muslim conflicts. This was the main difference between these two leaders. Qadhi was saying no, first independence, first the resolution of issues of Hindus and Muslims, then ouster of British government. But Gandhi was saying no, first ouster of British government, then the resolution of Hindu-Muslim conflicts. This shows that both the leaders were firm and they were not ready to forego any of their demand. Now this was a very important thing. These talks cleared this thing, that both the leaders are not ready to forego or to abandon any of their demand. Then another thing, by these talks, Qadhi Muhammad Ali Jinnah removed all the doubts and ambiguities about the two-nation theory and the demand for Pakistan. In these talks, Qadhi presented an unwavering stance on the demand of Pakistan. Qadhi made it very clear that we want Pakistan at all costs, and we are not ready to negotiate on this demand, and we are not ready to forego this demand. Then these talks actually strengthened the position of Qadhi Muhammad Ali Jinnah among the Muslims of India, and these talks made this thing clear in the minds of Hindus and Muslims also, that now all Muslim wants is Pakistan, and they are not ready to give up on this demand. These talks actually increased the morale of Muslims of India also. Now this was the importance of Jinnah Gandhi talks of 1944. This is the end of this lecture. I hope that all of you got whatever I was trying to explain here. Today we studied Jinnah Gandhi talks that was based on the CR formula that was presented by Rajagopalacharya, and we studied this in detail. So thank you and Allah Hafiz for today. Don't forget to like, comment, share this lecture, and don't forget to subscribe the channel Knowledge Realm.